President Biden is making you subsidize the mortgages for deadbeats, which I thought this would be a very interesting and also pretty annoying article to read. So, home buyers today face a number of challenges and obstacles aside from all the pain normally associated with the process of finding a house and assembling the paperwork to apply for a mortgage. They are also facing an environment in which interest rates are more than twice what they were just 2 years ago. The difference between the low 2.68% rate of December 2020 and last week's 6.94% rate means that despite the cooling of the national housing market, homebuyers are getting a lot less for their money. Consider that a $500,000 mortgage from late 2020 would cost $2,023 per month for principal and interest, whereas currently it would cost $3,306, an increase of more than 63% to borrow the exact same amount. To think of it another way, a current home buyer with a $2,000 monthly budget can afford to borrow only $288,000, more than 40% less than he could borrow just 2.5 years ago. Like, that's a really depressing situation. And yes, housing has pulled back in most of the hottest markets, but even enormous home price declines of 20% or 30% do not make up for such a steep increase in the cost of borrowing. In short, unless you're buying with cash, something few normal people can actually afford to do, you're not enjoying any of the benefits of the downturn in housing prices. And naturally, President Joe Biden's Federal Housing Finance Agency, the entity that regulates Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, has found a way to make things even worse, specifically for homebuyers who have paid their bills responsibly and accumulated good credit histories. It's all in the name of equity. You see, starting May 1st, if you have a credit score north of 680, Biden wants to charge you an extra fee that comes out to about $40 a month on a $400,000 mortgage. That money will go to subsidize mortgages for people with smaller down payments and lower credit scores. That is to say, people who don't pay their bills on time or who borrow money and outright fail to pay it back. Credit scores are the only objective, colorblind numerical measure of personal finance responsibility. The methodology with which they are used has even been made fairer recently through the inclusion of rent and other personal bills. So, no, this is not a program targeted at helping the poor or non white buyers. In reality, this is a program targeted at helping deadbeats. It is outrageous, just in principle, that responsible borrowers should be forced to subsidize the irresponsible if they want a shot at more than 60% of U.S. home loans that the FHFA oversees. It turns on its head a famous fable of the ant and the grasshopper. But this idea is also terrible from a practical perspective. First of all, $40 a month might not seem like a lot, but it's $14,400 over the lifetime of a mortgage. And at today's interest rates, it effectively reduces what responsible home buyers can afford by $6,000. Moreover, a subsidy for borrowers with poor credit and low down payments is a recipe for more foreclosures. This precise thing happened within recent memory during the last big recession. Recall that it helped bring about the financial crisis of 2008. It is therefore incredible that Biden, who is still a senator and running for office at the time, hasn't learned any lessons about the dangers of subsidizing mortgages for those demonstrably least likely to repay them. The fact that he is doing this now at the expense of responsible borrowers, all in the name of equity, just make it that much more outrageous. And we're going to check out some of the comments, but like, just think about that for example. right? You're trying to make it so that people who either cannot financially afford to pay for their mortgage, or people who can technically afford it but will never afford it because they are just really bad at managing their money to the point where they have extremely bad credit scores, are now going to be like paid for by people who are really good at managing their money, who are very responsible with managing their money. Like, this is going to just piss off so many people. This is going to be bad as well because, like this article said, you're basically putting people in mortgages that simply cannot afford those mortgages. Like, they cannot afford them. So it's going to be bad. Let's check out some of these comments. Get ready for 2008 all over again, trying to get people into homes they can't afford. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't understand what are they thinking, right? Like, you cannot put people in homes that they simply cannot afford. Ready to stock up cash and ready for those soon to be foreclosed properties. What's crazy, I'm already starting to see some foreclosed properties. Nonsense government going on here. Man, can Biden come up with anything else to punish the American people who have worked and paid their bills on time? I definitely would not be buying property anytime soon until this crap is reversed. This will result in the same thing that happened in 2008. Do not blame the lenders when the government forced them to make loans to unqualified people. This is so sad. Thinks he's Robin Hood. Yeah, I really don't like this. Because if they are to change this, it's going to get bad. You know? Let's see. Interesting. Uh, so this is the original location. Biden is making subsidized mortgages for deadbeats. Blah, 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 blah. Hmm. I was kind of hoping that there'd be a specific thing. Hmm. No, I don't see it. Okay. But here's the thing. If Biden is trying to actually do this, it's going to get bad, right? Like, the housing market situation is going to just dramatically get worse. Like, it's going to get really bad. But this is why, if you are making a really good income, try to stockpile as much cash as possible, just so that when things are super, super cheap, if you have the ability to buy homes on the cheap in cash, I would totally do that. Because then you get like these price drops of like 20 to 40% in some markets. Buy a house for super cheap with basically no like high interest loans on it, and then basically rent it out and end up appreciating like crazy. Because, wow, that is stupid for them to do this.